Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. Last week I got the opportunity to interview Sam Vincent. Sam has done a lot of work throughout his career, a lot of voiceover work, including Double D from Ed, Edd n Eddy. This is honestly one of the funnest interviews I've done on the channel, and there is a little hiccup where my mic and my camera completely shut off for about a minute or two. I'm keeping it in because it's a fun little moment, and he's able to kind of pretend to take over the channel and everything. It was a really funny moment and great chatting with him, so enjoy the interview. Here we go. First of all, thank you so much, Sam, for speaking with me today. I am really excited to chat with you, sir. First of all, how are you doing today?
I am very well. I'm great. Just at home and was out today doing a little thrifting, which I like to do a
Mm,
lot with my wife. We were out looking for goodies to we sell toys on the side for fun at shows and things.
okay.
So just I love the hunt. It's part of the
Love the
hunt.
hunt.
That's the fun of it. Yeah.
Did you find
So
anything good? That's the question.
today was it wasn't the best day. Some little stuffies that we got. I got some Jurassic Park dinosaurs, which are always fun with the people. Always those things go like hotcakes, the Jurassic Park dinosaurs.
Mhm.
So that was good. Yeah. Not a bad day.
Sounds pretty good. How did you
Yeah.
get into that? That's very fascinating, to finding
Um
vintage toys and stuff like that, and, you
I've
know?
I've always been kind of a collector, and I just kind of got back into it by there's a guy I know who I sold who's a comic dealer. He sells comics, and he bought a portion of a collection that I had, and then he said, and then I said I got a bunch of old stuff that I want to sell, like from the '90s. I got a bunch of Spawn and stuff that I kind of want to move more into loose figures, vintage figures, but I had to make a deal with myself because I don't know if you collect, but you get to a certain point where it gets out of hand, and
Yeah.
you know that. So I had
Mhm.
to make a deal with myself that, and if I sold something, I created this little cachet of this is where I can spend from, but to buy stuff, I
Mm,
have to sell stuff. So that was the deal I made with myself. I didn't want to do like online selling with all that.
mm,
I thought, and then my buddy said, "Well, why I do shows. I go to shows, like, there's this toy show going on, and where they sell comics, toys. Why don't you get a table going?" And I said, "Okay." So I
mm,
took down some of my stuff. I started thrifting a little bit, just so not everybody's a Spawn fan or whatever. So it was like I had to kind of have more stuff out there. Did it, went pretty well, and I managed to sell some of my stuff I was trying to get rid of. And then you get into this rhythm of just like enjoying the hunt, and my wife was into it as well. So I was like, and I love the interaction. Our tables usually we have a lot of parents and kids come because we sell some stuff that's, it's affordable and it's fun
yeah.
and the kids love it. So I love the interaction with the kids, and I don't know, you kind of snowballed into this fun thing. So I try and do 2 or 3 shows a year now,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun, and my collection is changing, having more, those
Mhm.
little scores that you get when you find stuff,
Yeah. Mhm.
you're like, "Yes, I got it, yes." So, anyway, it's fun.
Well, that's awesome that you found something that is passionate and you can share that with your wife, and so it's something that you can look forward to doing, and it's like, "Well, I have my work, but I also can do this," and you're being self-conscious, "I don't wanna go crazy and spend too much and kinda
You
go
gotta contain
overboard."
it, especially at that was kind of my thinking too as I get into my 50s. I was like, "I don't wanna leave a bunch of stuff for somebody to just go, like, deal with," because
Mhm.
the whole collecting thing goes on a huge spectrum of people who collect, and then they display about 10% of it, and 90% is just boxes just sitting there.
Mhm.
And some people just love to buy more than they sell, and it can get out of hand. So I was like, I want to kind of parse this down into a manageable amount of stuff that I'll leave for, I don't know, my daughter or whatever to deal
Yeah.
with when it's time to go.
Yeah, I
So
gotcha.
trying to be somewhat thoughtful about it.
Yeah, yeah, you have to, you have to. Looking at the huge variety of stuff you've done in your career, I'm always fascinated, like, what was the starting point? What was the thing that made you wanna get into this business? What was the thing? Was it the storytelling? Was it the fact you could play potentially a lot of variety of characters? What was that?
Well, it's I don't think I was super conscious of what I was doing I really started in high school getting into
Mhm.
theater. My brother was an actor as well, and in high school we just kind of loved the drama department, right? We were
Yeah.
there and
Mhm.
doing plays, and and even before that, my brother and I were always, it's the doing sketches and comedy for our parents and trying to make them
Mhm.
laugh after dinner. And, you know, we kind of like my mom used to say to me, always, well, who are you talking to in there? I'm like, nobody, just, just blabbing, constantly blabbing to ourselves and making up voices and just doing that. And then in high school, it was just about drama and acting. And I got an agent early on in high school through the good fortune of a friend who was with this agency, and he was with a youth theater group, and kind of got in early, got my foot in the door early, and was
Mm,
doing mostly on camera work. And then the voice stuff kind of started to roll out in the kind of in Vancouver in the kind of, I don't know, say mid 80s to late 80s and going into the
mhm,
90s. Um, like I was a little bit behind the whole like Matt Hill,
mhm,
who's just a couple of years older than me. He was on a show called Captain N and Captain Nintendo, and he was
mhm.
like the lead guy on that. And that was before I wasn't even in voice. I didn't even know voice existed yet. I was still kind of doing theater and on camera, and then I had my first voice audition um, for a anime series, a Japanese anime dub,
Mm,
which was called Dragon Warrior in
okay.
North America, but it was based on a video game. Someone will know the
Yeah.
Japanese proper name, and it was one of those shows that was my first kind of kick at the can with dubbing and doing a voice, and they only did 13. Like they would do
Okay.
chunks and see if it's gonna
Yeah.
fly with the North American audience, and it
Mhm,
didn't fly. So it was like I did 13 of them, but that was my first kind of getting in there and working
mhm.
with dubbing and matching flaps with lips and doing that whole thing. And I actually managed to find all 13 episodes on YouTube to watch it, and you're always
Oh,
you kind of watch it and it's your first voice gig ever and you're like, ooh, but it's like anything you're learning how to do stuff, right? So
yeah.
you go, it's not like, it was your first job. So you kind of it's like you get good at anything, after 20 years and you go and you look back at your first stuff and you go, oh, look at you. Look at you
Y
trying to do your little acting. It's so good.
exactly. Yeah,
It's fun.
and that's interesting that your first voice was not just the first time doing voice, but also dubbing for another language. I mean, that's definitely a lot to take on as your first voiceover
Well,
gig.
the dubbing it's its own thing. Like some people have a natural, like feel for it. Like I don't
Mhm,
know, it's weird. It's like some people are. It can be challenging in the beginning. A lot of times you're just like just throwing it out there and hoping everything matches up, and
mhm.
a lot goes into that is that with the writing, the people are taking the Japanese and rewriting English, trying to match all the syllable blah 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 and the
Yeah.
flaps to make sure, and sometimes it's too long or it's too short, you got to add something. So that was a challenge, but I kind of felt like I had it kind of like it wasn't too big of a struggle,
Mhm,
but it was different to start that as your first gig as opposed to doing a show. I think my first prelay was Bucky O'Hare, where you're
mm,
not constrained by,
yeah.
flaps and all that stuff. So the performance is going to be a little different and, you're not really focused on trying to make it match.
And you've done a lot of voice work over the years. It's like it's overwhelming how much stuff you've done, but it seems like you love it. Like, do you love the fact that you can create these kind of characters with your voice and kind of make them your own? Because essentially you could play any kind of character when you're doing voiceover.
Yeah. I mean, when I was doing on camera work, I started to get more success with voice work. I was consistently getting more jobs, and
Hmm.
I did like the fact, like, I'm very strategic in the beginning of my voice careers. Like, I didn't say like, I can do every single character in this show. Like, so you get an audition and there's 10 characters, and I thought, oh, I can do every one. And I'd like do try and it was like, no, no, no. I was like, I look at the little, whatever, the nerdy elfie dude, and I'm like, that's the dude I'm gonna try and get, and
Hmm.
then I would be like, so because I knew that was kind of like there's some natural places where your voice tends to live, and you just feel like I got this character a little bit more. And also the way things evolved, I mean, in the I'm going to say the 80s and 90s, the
Hmm.
majority of characters were all like big hero guys and they were all tough and they're like, hey, man,
Yeah.
it was very kind of
Hmm.
this big He-Man type of world. and I was just like the little rat trying to live in the world of, the dinosaurs, trying to find my little, yeah, huh, how's it going over there? Yeah, all right. So it was like,
Yeah.
I think so that was why it was like with Bucky O'Hare, it was like AFC Blinky reporting, sir, and like little elves and blah blah blah. So it was like that was I would just say I can do this guy, but I would
Mhm.
consistently, have success with that. And as also animation evolved, they were changing the casting. We kind of got out of the whole, big hero dudes, and they got in more to the young hero, kind of more like we're trying to cast more like a teenage sounding guy.
Mhm.
And so I was working on my, how do I sound like a young guy? Well, I was a young guy, but now I'm like in my 50s and I'm still sounding like, hey, how's it going? Why don't we go over here and do this or do that? Right. But that was the kind of finding your,
Mhm.
your hero tone. So
Yeah.
that was it was fun doing that. And as you develop and grow, you find new voices, and you get your first shot at like doing a certain type of thing. You get your first shot at doing a villain, or your first shot at
Mhm.
doing this, and every time it's kind of like, yes, this is my first chance to do this. Or so that's kind of the fun thing about it as well. It's just those firsts.
That and that sounds awesome how you're going about that because you're always trying to push yourself or trying to find what you can do. Because I mean, there are certain voices that people do. I just don't know how they pull it off. Like, for
Mhm.
example, Double D from Ed, and Eddy, like I grew up and loved that show so much. And speak with Matt about the audition process, which is like a lot. That voice, Double D's voice is so unique. I don't know how you pull that off. And watching you do it when there's recordings of you doing it, it's like I don't know how he's doing it. It's so natural looking when you do it too.
Oh, well, thank you. That I look back at Double D, and I watch the way, because I've noticed that in a lot of shows, is that the voices in the very beginning are a certain way and they slightly evolve over time.
Yeah.
And I remember when I got the audition for Double D, it just said that they didn't a lot of it said he didn't speak very loudly and he mumbled.
Mhm.
So, just based on that, I was trying to find this voice that was kinda living in, "Oh, I'm not quite sure. I'm in here, and he's kinda mumbling, and, he had a bit of a rasp, and so that was kinda what I went with.
Mhm.
And so we were cast as the Eds, and we got in the studio watching, going back to the first season. Is really he was he wasn't quite as confident in his
Mhm.
vocalizations and his voice. He was kind of like, "Oh, be careful, Ed. Don't go over there. Don't do this." He was very kind of timid, and he didn't.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like, as the show evolved, the writers brought him out to be much more loquacious and like much more opinionated about how everyone should act and do this, and I wouldn't do that, Ed, and blah 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 blah. So he evolved. He came out of his shell in
Mhm.
a lot of ways throughout the show. And it's funny when I go back and watch those first episodes, how I can see this kind of place. It's almost like around second season where he started to be like, they had like a real Double D centered show, and he kind of bloomed into like the full Double D ness of
Mhm.
well, I never, of course, this is most hurtful. And he'd go on and he'd have his little,
Yeah.
poopy hissy fits about everything. And oh, relax, sockhead. It's like, so it was like, you know, but yeah, I don't know. The thing about all the characters on the show is Danny. He knew every character, like he knew what they were.
Mhm.
Like, and if you could just tell, like if it's something smelt false to him, he let you know. Like it was like, no, no, that's not it. Like it said,
Yeah.
you go back, and so like, for me, Double D was an actual. He was a very real person. I think that's the success of all the characters in the show. Is everybody knows that is a real, fully developed person right there. Double D Edward. Thank you very much. He's a
Yeah.
real person. For so
Mhm.
many people, just like all
Yes.
the Eds are, right? So, and a show like that is rare, where you get to go that far with like character and development and all that
Mhm.
stuff. It's that those are the most, you treasure those, because you don't get that many in a career to like, just to say that that's a true iconic character. And I think Double D is a true iconic character. So I'm happy that I get to, you know, be the voice part of him. Yeah.
And the mystery behind him too, because you never saw him without his hat, and they kept that a
Yeah.
mystery. I think that was very a smart choice because you didn't need to know that really, like what's under the head.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
didn't
didn't
need
need
to know
to.
what was under his hat, you didn't need to see any of the parents, you didn't need
No,
to
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
No parents.
no, there were some very cool, unique things about that show that created this world, and, one of my favorite things about that show is that it's timeless because they didn't date it to that much. They didn't put too
Yeah.
many references to that specific time in there that would
Mhm.
get you like, "Oh, this is from the '90s or this or that," there were none of those pop cultural references thrown in
Yeah,
to kinda date it. Not that I can remember, so it keeps that timeless feel, which, you know, I don't know if that's what
exactly.
Danny's intention was, but it feels like that. I just wanna make something that can be laughed at 50 years from now, and
That
it's relatable. If
that's a
we're not all, like, wearing VR goggles going,
well, yeah,
"Oh."
exactly. Exactly.
If there's still kids out there riding their bikes, in
Yeah.
my neighborhood, there's still kids
Mhm.
going out and having adventures and riding bikes, so,
And maybe that was the intent, like, because I didn't think about that. It didn't really date itself much, and it really makes us to where if you're growing up watching the show, it feels like, oh, this is normal. Like this is something that you're familiar with, and like I
Mhm.
said, no parents, so it's like you don't know what's gonna happen. I think that's the beauty of the show. It's so random and over the top, and all the characters are unique in their own way. I was asking Matt about this when I talked to him last week about everyone's talking about reboots, and he was saying how at first you guys were like, well, maybe, but then maybe it's best that we don't. It had its time, maybe. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
I mean, it's people when people love something so much, they
Mhm.
just wanna, they want a reboot or they want some new thing, and I almost think that even if there was a reboot, I just don't see I wouldn't see us being involved in it, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm,
it's just like, it was its own time, we were doing our thing for that time, and I don't know, like, even though I still feel like I can be Double D and I've got the character in me and I still understand them, but at the same time, it's like it was its own time, and I like it that way. It's fun. I mean, I'm at a I like being here now
mhm,
where there's all these people who are love the show from when they were kids, and there's fans who contact me who are showing it to their kids, nephews, the next generations are watching it and enjoying it, and I'm just
mhm.
like, you know, that would be great if I'm like this little 80-year-old guy sitting at a table and some kids 8 saying, "I love Double D," and I'd be doing, "Oh." Well, there was that one episode where we all became really old. I can't
Yes.
remember the name of it, but,
Mhm.
that's, me. "Oh, I used to be Double D, and here I am writing, I love that show." They're like, "You don't sound like him anymore." "Oh, that's okay. I'm still here, huh? Here you go.
I'm still
Enjoy."
here. Yeah.
What and then, "What's under Double D's hat?" "I can't tell you. I don't know."
And even if I did, I wouldn't tell you. I
"I
wouldn't ruin
wouldn't
it.
tell you anyway."
I wouldn't tell you.
Mm.
As I mentioned, you've done a lot of voice work. Do you ever find it challenging to find new voices, or is it just something it just takes time and you don't worry about
Well, I
it
think
enough?
it's not the challenge is finding new voices, the challenge is finding anybody who wants to hire you to do the new voices, 'cause
Mhm.
you can have 100,000,000 voices, but
Yeah.
unless it's, like, in a show or sometimes you come up with stuff and you go, "Oh, I'd love to do this in a show," and sometimes you get an opportunity to do it.
Mhm.
But, I don't know. I mean, I that's one thing I love about just the voice work is even on a personal level when you're not about jobs, it's just you're just playing around. Sometimes you're making up characters and you're for your
Mhm.
own silly like you did when you were a kid. Like, who are you talking to in there? It's like, I'm just having fun making up some goofy
Yeah.
voice right now and
Yeah.
or working on an accent or that's the fun part about it, and also the possibility of being able to do work when, at any age, because
Mhm.
we all have great voice characters that we loved, and, they're, maybe it was an 80-year-old person who did the voice, and, that's the great thing about voices. I think it's like there's longevity and just that career and the fun
Mhm.
you can have with it. So,
Yeah, because there's endless possibilities of you could play any character you want if you're in voice, so you don't have to like physically do it. It's just whatever the character is. Like you could play an animal, you could play an alien. There's so many possibilities. So it's
Oh
it
yeah,
is
that's a
ridiculous.
great thing. Is just
Mhm,
this silliness of the world of animation is where you
mhm.
know, someone throws a picture at you and you go, "Okay." Well, and sometimes it'll be like, it's always interesting when you go and you see a character that's in the most ridiculous kinda alien thing, and you think, "I'm gonna go," and they go, "No, just act like this. Just talk like this. I'm Bob." You know, that's funny too, is like when you see the strangest alien in the world, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing? I was wondering if I could borrow a couple of milk, huh?" And you're like, "Oh, sure, you know, thanks a lot. I'll see you later." Because that's funny. Because the alien, you think he's gonna be like, so, sometimes those choices are funny too, just when
Yeah,
you go with the contrast of opposites, right? So,
straight face,
yeah,
straight
or
face.
a normal, a normal looking guy
Mhm.
who looks like a superhero that's like, and then, that's funny, because why is he talking like that?
Be the opposite of like Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah,
Literally, he's
yeah, but he
exactly
looks
what you
like
would expect.
Superman, you know?
Yeah, exactly. He's like a Superman. Yeah.
He looks like Superman talks like Taz, huh?
Oh, I would love that. Why
Mhm.
not? Why not?
There
I
you
mean,
go.
just have fun with it. Do
Mhm.
you love do you love doing improv when you're doing voiceover, or do you ever get the opportunity for that?
Sometimes you do. It's always fun when you can go off a bit on with characters, and, it depends on the show. Depends on the show. Sometimes I'll let you riff a little bit on something or other. I used to love improv just because it was, you know and I don't know, theater, sports, and things like that, I haven't done it for a while, but I used to love that. I love the spontaneity of just having to come up with something, just right there off the cuff and try and make people laugh with it. So it does come in handy though. Excuse me.
Mhm,
I think it does come in handy with voice work, especially with like even if we're doing weird walla stuff,
mhm.
which is basically background noise stuff for crowds, sometimes it's
Yeah,
just funny, or you get asked to do some of the most ridiculous things sometimes with voice, which is fun. And I
yeah.
always people say, "What?" You know, people go, "What's some advice for this or that?" And I go, "Listen, if you're not afraid of looking like, completely silly and ridiculous, then you're halfway there because you gotta just release all your inhibitions and just go, okay, just go wacky." Sometimes you have to be wacky and
Oh,
not be
yeah.
afraid of looking wacky.
You
And
have
that's
to
what I
push
love to.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
so that's one fun aspect of voice work too.
Yeah, because you have to push yourself and know that, you're gonna make a decision that maybe is not the right choice, but you have to push yourself and put it out there because you never know. Because I think what Matt was saying, his voice for Ed was a mistake. He just did it like during like another audition test, and that was the voice. All of a sudden, that was the voice, but he
Right.
didn't know. He just tried it out. So you just never know.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't, and it's the way auditions have changed a lot in the past few years, as well as that we used to go in and the fun old days when we'd all be, like, waiting outside to go in the studio to, like,
Mhm,
do our auditions, and we're all out there being, jackasses, talking and doing stuff, and then they go in one by one, and,
mhm.
"How'd you do? I bet you sucked, didn't you? Oh, here, I'll show you, blah, blah." But,
Yes.
everyone's, like, friendly competitiveness. And
Mhm.
now it's more like MP3 submissions. So you're like, they give you a description and you're kind of just, okay, maybe you do one or two different attempts at it. You're not
Yeah,
getting a lot of feedback. So you're just kind of throwing it out there. And sometimes you just gotta, you're guessing, or you're
yeah.
trying, as you get more, I don't know. Now I just like, sometimes I'm thinking, I'm just going to try and make myself laugh. So, sometimes I just go like, I don't know if this is the right choice, but
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make something that makes me tickles my fancy. I mean, if I'm making myself giggle, maybe it'll make somebody else laugh. I don't know. So sometimes I take that strategy. I don't know if it works, but at least I left myself getting, well, that was fun. So
That's a smart approach too. It's like you might as well have fun with it. Like because in the business you're in, a lot of the times the stuff you're working on is funny. You have those like might as well find what makes it enjoyable for you. So you're not just like, okay, it's another job. And it's kind of like the monotonous, okay, I'm doing another job. Like you want to have fun with it in some way.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes you get more comfortable taking risks with
Hmm.
certain things. I mean, it's just the way like as you through years and years of practice, you kind of go, you look at something, you go, okay, I see what this is, and you kind of give that thing. But at sometimes you go, sometimes they're like, "Yeah, just surprise us with something wacky," and you go, "All right, I'll try." So,
Okay.
but yeah, you
I'll
got to
try.
keep it fun. You got to keep it fun.
Yeah. I was actually looking I took a couple notes. So this is pretty exciting. You voice Krypto in the show. I
Crypt-
didn't realize you
oh
that's pretty
no,
cool. That's pretty
yeah,
cool.
yep, Krypto the super dog. Ruff ruff and away. Yeah, that was a I actually really enjoyed that show
Mhm.
because it had a I loved the way it looked. It had a classic kind of feel to it. It was a Warner Brother, um, but it had kind of a Hanna-Barbera kind of feel to the characters, the way they looked, and I thought
Mhm.
all the characters kind of fun and yeah, yeah, Crypto Super Dog and a lot of it's interesting now because I'm getting to that time where all the kids who are like 10 years old are now, they're 30, whatever. They're going, dude, I love you're my childhood, this and that. And it's because there was a lot of stuff I was doing and I was getting feedback, but most kids don't want to write you like, I gotta find out who did that voice. I'm 10 years old. I'm gonna write you. He's usually a 30-year-old
Yeah.
guy who's like, oh man, I loved that show when I was a kid, and I'm gonna find out who did that voice, and they're gonna
Yeah.
get in touch with you. So yeah, Crypto was a fun show. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It was a lot
Eh,
of fun to
you
play
pretty much
iconic
pretty
character like that.
yeah, you pretty much called me out. That's pretty much what happened here. I'm like, I want to
Oh,
look at to see who did that. Like, oh, okay, awesome. And I looked up like he's did so much stuff. Wow. See.
yeah. So yeah, a lot of people still, they have their favorite show that they you from, whatever it is. It could be Ed, Edd and
Mhm.
Eddy and then they go, "Oh, wait, you did this too? Oh, and you did this?" And you go, "Yeah, yeah, that was me." And they go, "Oh, okay," because people have their favorites, and
Yeah.
I still Matt and I talk about like for Matt and myself have been talking about wanting to get out together to cons because we've crossed paths on different shows
Mhm.
over the years, and obviously Ed and Eddy, and then another anime show we did, Gundam Seed, where we were kind of the
Ooh.
two leads in the show, Athrin Zal and Kira Yamato, and we had this kind of like best friends, but on opposite sides of the war, and this why, lots of drama and stuff, and great looking hair, anime hair and suits and Gundam suits and all that stuff. So there's a lot of people who enjoyed our dub of the show, and that was fun as well. Um, did you turn off the lights? Oh, no, I see that's here. I'm just gonna keep talking, and I know that he's gonna come back any moment. I know it. So, how are you guys doing? Any questions for me? Yeah, you over there. Yes, in the back row. Tell me, what's going on with you? Well, how did I come to he's coming. No camera. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Jordan? Jordan, I knew it. I knew it. He got sucked into another dimension. That's what happened. I know it. I knew this would happen one day. Jordan,
Can
is
you hear
that you on the
can you
other
hear me?
side? I thought you got sucked into a black hole. I was very worried. Are you
Here
there?
I am. Here I am. Good? Are we good now?
I'm great. I
I don't
just
know
kept
what
them all entertained while you were gone.
I
While
don't
we
know
told
what
stories, we
I was like, "Oh,
laughed and
the
we
I don't know
laughed.
what just happened." Okay.
The lights. I thought it was funny because it went from you and then it went to a screenshot of you, but it
Mhm.
looked darker. So I thought, oh,
Oh,
he
yeah.
turned off the lights. Oh, it's going to
I
get
I
right.
I don't
Oh,
know.
getting to the romantic part of the episode.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
you know me so
exciting,
well.
right?
Oh,
He
yes.
he lit candles.
I don't wanna speak and tell, but I sure did. I don't
Now we're all
know.
back.
We're good. Alright, we're
We're good.
good. But okay, that's all. I love that your voice Crypto. That was really cool, and you were mentioning before all the
Yes.
chaos,
Yes.
you're doing a con or doing a fan meetup with Matt. You said
Yes.
at the end it was the end of this month in June?
Yes, we are going to be at Planet Funk Con.
Mm,
I just like to do the bang bang bow after because it's
okay.
funk, man. Bow, 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 bow.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is going to be in Davenport, Iowa,
Mm,
the Quad Cities area. which I'm still learning. I'm still learning. Quad Cities area, not far from Chicago.
Hmm.
It is June 28th, 29th, and 30th, and we're gonna be there for 3 days of fun, meeting people,
Yeah,
and like I say, I haven't been out to a con for a while, so I'm looking forward to meeting some fans. I interact from time to time
hmm.
on Instagram and all that, but it's nice to get out there and talk to folks.
Of
It's gonna be
course.
fun, and yeah, this will be the first time Maddie and I have gone out for a while together, so that's cool. To go with Matt because he's a good guy and
Oh,
he's so
he was
excited. He's excited about everything. He's so
his his energy. He's got a lot of energy, and
Oh yeah.
it matches Ed. I'm like, this
Oh
guy's got
yeah.
a lot of energy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. Maddie is yeah, he's a super dude and he's got a
Yes.
big heart and just so excited. He feels so grateful and blessed to be
Yeah.
getting out to the fans and he loves meeting them and it's awesome. And I do
That's good.
too. I like you guys. I do. I swear I do. I do.
He does. Don't worry. He loves you. Uh, Last few things I want to ask real fast. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
working on a show called X-Men Evolution. You were a couple of
Yes.
voices on that show. I watched the
Well,
show for the first time and I love that show. It was
yeah.
really cool to see you on there.
That was Forge.
Yep, Forge.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Forge, right? And
Yeah.
it was like, oh, Forge. What's Forge do? I was going back and looking, and he's got what is he? And he like the old Toy Biz
Mhm.
action figure I had. Is he's got like a leg band and a mustache. Come on, what? And I was like, it was fine. I was happy to be Forge. I was
Yeah.
happy to
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
It's not Wolverine, but I was Forge. It's cool.
I was about to say you could be Wolverine. Why not?
No, because there's people who wouldn't like that very much. Scott McNeil. And
Oh, well, yeah, well, of course. He was really good.
yes, he was. He was. And
Yeah.
Brian Drummond's been Wolverine before.
Mhm.
I'm not his. Ew, I know.
Maybe one day. Maybe. Never
I'll just
know.
be the little lizard guy that's on the side.
You'll be Toad. You'll play
I'll be
Toad.
Toad. I'll be Toad. I love to be Toad. I can be a good Toad. Yeah, come on, let me be a Toad. I can do Toad.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Or as you were saying earlier, voice just every character. Just try to voice everybody and just see how
Oh,
that goes.
one of those guys, right?
Yeah, you got this.
I can do every voice on the
Yeah.
show. Everyone. I've done everyone on the show.
Or you
I
do
mean,
voices
voice.
that don't match the character at all,
Yeah,
like
there you go.
Professor X. Hi guys, like
Lovely guy.
that's-
Hey, snitch. That's right. Don't mess with me, bub.
I love that.
That's a good choice, but I think we want him a little bit more. Just
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better.
Snitch. Don't mess with me, bub.
all right. Next,
Yeah,
next, please. Can we have our next Wolverine?
because this is not working. We don't want Double D as Wolverine.
No. Oh dear. Sneaky. Oh, these are extremely dangerous. What am I supposed to do with these? I could cut myself. Oh dear. I better ask Mother. Oh dear.
Just
I love it.
imagine. He's like Rolf with my.
Hey there, Ed boy. Why don't you slice some salami for me? Oh, all right, Rolf. Here we go. Slicing salami for Rolf.
They should have done a Marvel crossover with Ed and Eddie. That'd be amazing.
That would be good. Oh man.
Ed would be the Hulk, I think. I think that would
Oh,
work.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd go on full Hulk,
Oh yeah, he would.
and then Sarah would be She-Hulk when she has one of her fits. Sarah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
I
man.
would love that.
And there's somebody, I'm sure there's so many talented artists who love to do those like fun crossovers. There's
Mhm.
probably an Ed's X-Men team out there
Why
somewhere
not?
on, like
Why
Deviant
not?
Art or something, or have just inspired someone. Go out and do it.
Hopefully you did.
X Ed's crossover. Do it. Draw it. Be it.
X-Ed. I love that.
X-Ed,
X-Ed.
yeah.
I love that. You were also in Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Heroes, and you voiced Herbie and Peter Parker, which
Peter,
is like
what? I don't
yeah,
remember that. I
it's-
don't remember
it's-
Peter Parker.
okay.
Maybe it
Well,
was just
it's
like a little guest star.
it maybe. But
Yeah.
Herbie, that's pretty exciting. Like
Herbie.
that little robot.
Right.
Yeah, Herbie.
Herbie the robot, of course. Yep. Coffee's ready, everyone. Thing you need to go out. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun. He was my. I love.
And I like the fact
Boston characters.
your voice wasn't really robotic in that sense because usually Herbie, it's like it's overly robotic. It's kind of
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah,
simpler.
I didn't honestly think about that too much. Like, oh, you
Hmm.
shouldn't. I was trying to be more like, hello, I'm Herbie, and I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm a bit fastidious as I play a lot of fastidious characters, and trying to be robotic, but not too robotic. So it was, yeah, that was fun. I to
Yeah.
be honest with you, that show was for me was more about getting to watch all my friends do awesome voice work, like being like, Ben Grimm and
Hmm.
Brian Dobby and Paul and Mike. All the Dobson brothers were just kicking
Yeah.
ass on that show. They were doing awesome, like Doctor Doom and all these awesome voices.
Hmm.
Well, I'm just like,
You guys go. You guys are great. You're doing all these big bad voices. It's amazing.
Sam, you're up. Oh, right. Everyone, let's make sure we get to the elevator in time before it all burns up, okay? So it was fun. It was fun watching them.
You were just kind of like taking a say, it's your line. Oh, sorry. And
Yeah,
then you
these guys are great.
I was just enjoying the show.
Yeah, enjoying the show. Sometimes you do. You're just like, wow,
Yeah,
you guys are pretty good, You guys should do this for a living or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
Any upcoming projects you're working on you can talk about? I know a lot of times with projects you have to sign NDAs and you can't
Yeah.
really talk about it.
The only thing I'm working on right now is my tan. No,
Okay.
I'm the one my one ongoing show is Ninjago Dragons
Mm.
Rising. Um and we're doing that. It's out. I think season 2 is out right now.
Hmm.
So I'm continuing my role as Lloyd Garmadon, the Green Ninja. Ninja never quit. Okay, don't quit on yourselves. And that's kind of my one main gig. I'm doing
Hmm.
some commercial work. So that's kind of, I'm kind of in semi-retirement now, which is
Oh.
it suits me just fine. A little bit of voice work, a little bit of thrifting, going to some cons.
Hmm.
It's good. It's fun. I'm enjoying this kind of place in my life where it's like doing a little voice work and getting to meet fans and kind of like you do get to a certain point where you're looking back and you want, I'm looking forward to many years of doing voice work, but I'm also getting into a place now where it's like nice to look back at a career and engage with people who really enjoyed the work that
Yeah.
I did. It's kind of, you never think you get, like, you always like, I don't want to, but now I'm here. I'm like, yeah, this is great. I love it. I'm very happy. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice to have a career to look back on. And, I feel pretty proud of it and have a couple of real iconic characters that people are
Mhm.
still enjoying. That's the
Yes.
amazing thing is like that's part of the thing with Matt and I was like 25-year anniversary this year for Ed and Nettie.
Wow.
So that was kind of like, wow, 25 years. Wow. And
Long
then,
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of, that show finding its legs through, it ended up being on like HBO Max and other places, but even just on the internet, like people watching the show and like kids who are, there's teenagers and kids
Mhm.
now who are digging Ed and Nettie and, even with their own creativity, creating their own art and their own animation and things based on the show, being inspired by it. And
Mhm.
it's awesome. I love
It
it.
just it shows people's love for it. It shows
Yeah.
what they really gravitate to and what basically inspired them to even get into maybe to doing that.
Yeah.
You
That's
know?
that's the great thing is
Yeah.
I've heard it personally from other people. Um, and there's probably tons more out there, just being involved in something that it pumps people's creativity to want to be something in their life. That's
Hmm.
awesome. Like whether it's an artist or a voice actor or whatever, you just go, because we've all had those things in our lives where we go, that person, I probably, for me, it was probably, well, Jim Henson was a big thing for me, is all the stuff he made when I was a kid kind of
Hmm.
juiced my creative, world and imagination. And George Lucas and other people like that, but creators. But so it's just nice to be able to have a little part of that where you're like, people drew inspiration
Yeah.
to do what they want to do in their lives. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's always finding that passion and what you want to do in your life, and that's really cool that you found your thing, and then people are seeing what you're working on and going, I want to do that. I want to, you know, I'm getting inspired
Yeah,
by that.
yeah, absolutely. It's
That's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. 100%. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for speaking with me today. I appreciate it. There's a glitch. Something happened. Don't know what happened earlier, but good luck at
You
your
won't
con.
even know he's gonna cut it all up, and or if you keep it,
I might even leave it.
leave it.
That's
I
funny.
was
You were
talking to
having a good
somebody like
time.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Well, good luck on your fan event next week with
Yeah, thank
Matt.
you.
That's awesome. That sounds great. You guys are doing that. And thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good luck with everything you're doing as well.
Thank you. I
Keep
appreciate it.
grinding, keep having fun, enjoying.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much.
All right, take care of yourself.